time, and we'll continue discussing about mind, because we are nothing but mind. We are all our actions are mind driven. Body is just an instrument. It's a contraption. It's a car, but mind is a driver. Mind is the one which delivers all the action. Whatever you speak, whatever you do, whatever hands do, legs do, your whatever you are speaking, it's all about the mind. And we have discussed last time that the body is gross and the mind is subtle. We call it sthul. Gross is sthul, and subtle is sukshma. Sukshma is the right Sanskrit or Hindi word for being subtle. So subtle governs the gross. Gross never governs the subtle. Subtle governs the gross. And they say, as per our knowledge and scripture, what they say, that you acquire sukshma, you acquire your mind, and life after life after life, you live with that mind only. The gross changes, the stool changes, but the mind, sukshma, doesn't change in you. It keeps on passing from body to body.
It reminds me such a beautiful couplet from Tulsi or Kabir. I don't know who it was, but he said very nice thing. माया मरे न मन मरे, मर मर गए शरीर. मतलब हमारा मन नहीं मरता, लेकिन शरीर मरते रहते हैं. यानी वही मन कंटिन्यू करता है. As Alok was explaining, this mind continues over many births. Over to Alok. Thank you.
Small, my apology that I'm in a place where the lightings are not very good, so you will have to tolerate me some darker pictures. And second thing, that I will have to leave at 6:40. That's my hard stop. I'm supposed to give a lecture at 6:55, so which I'll need 5-10 minutes to organize myself for that. So 6:40 I will end. So the mind is the one which makes us do whatever we do, whatever we say. As Satyendra has said, that mind doesn't die, the body dies again and again and again. Now, what is this mind? We all know that mind is the subtle body inside our gross body. And body has 5 senses for perception. There's eye, nose, ear, tongue, and the skin. And entire world enters into us through these 5 senses. And we interact with the world with the action, that is speech, that is with the hand, legs, excretion, and through genitals. Suppose there's a man who's blind, who cannot smell, cannot hear, and mute. It can happen, no? Suppose there is a person who cannot see, cannot smell, cannot hear, and cannot speak. Now, how will he interact with the world? He's trapped in the body. He cannot interact with the world. He can't speak. He doesn't know what people are saying. He cannot smell what is happening around him and cannot see. So there's no reaction in him to react with the world. So he may have a mind present but inactive. At the most, he will have hunger, because he can still walk and he cannot speak, but he can show his hand, hungry, hungry, feed me, or he can cry when he's hungry. That's only reaction he can have to the world. He can have nothing else. So this contraction, for it to work with the world, we need to have senses. But between senses, all the experience of the world, what we are getting, we process it, and then we react to the world. That's how we are. And that reaction, that processing is nothing but mind. Mind is a great processor. It's your Pentium or whatever the Intel chip you have nowadays. Right. Now, that Intel chip which you have in you is mind, which is very sukshma, which is very subtle. You can't see it. It only shows itself through its expression. अपनी भाव भंगिमा से वो अपनी प्रेजेंस दर्शाता है कि मैं भी हूं. अगर मैं अभी यथार्थ को कहूं, यथार्थ तुम चोर हो, सर कैसे बोलते सर अब मैं चोर हूं? मैंने क्या चोरी कर ली आपकी सर? व्हाट हैव आई स्टोलन? या मैं कहूं कि यथार्थ तुम बहुत अच्छे बच्चे हो, तो सर आप तो हमें जानते भी नहीं है, 4 बार अपने क्लास लिया है, व्हाट डू यू नो अबाउट मी? वेयर इज इट कमिंग फ्रॉम? ये प्रोसेसिंग कहाँ हो रही है? ये यथार्थ के दिमाग में ही हो रही है ना. कौन प्रोसेस कर रहा है? योर माइंड. कैसे प्रोसेस कर रहा है? लेट्स लुक एट इट. मैंने कहा यथार्थ तुम एक बहुत अच्छे बच्चे हो, तुम्हारे कानों ने सुना, कानों से इस सेंस से वो दिमाग में गया, दिमाग ने उसको प्रोसेस किया कि तुम्हें जानते नहीं है, देखा भी नहीं, हमसे मिले भी नहीं है, वन वे ट्रैफिक है, ये बोलते हैं मैं सुनता हूँ, कभी कभी मैं कुछ पूछ लेता हूँ, इसमें पता चल गया इनको कि मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ. क्या बात करते हैं, गलत कह रहे हैं. डिसीजन टेकन, दैट इज रॉन्ग. So where is it being processed? In mind, which is not visible. Which part is mind? Mind is in the nose, mind is in the ear, mind is in the brain, mind is in the legs. Where is the mind? लोग कहते हैं कभी कभी माइंड घुटने में भी होता है. Where is the mind? Lot of people have mind in their stomach. खाना देखते हैं भागने लगते हैं उसकी तरफ, है ना? So the mind is a processor. You are engineers, now you understand better. Deepika and Yatharth will understand better. I don't know about Dhruv. So you know that it's a processor. Now, what are the characteristic of this processor? अगर हमें पता है ये processor कैसा है, then I can get better output. Now, what is the characteristic of this processor? ये feeling driven है, इसको हर चीज बुरी लग जाती है. Impulsive है, खाना देखते ही पूरा खाना खाया है, अगर रसगुल्ला आ गया तो भी खा लिया. Very impulsive. Indecisive, कि आज चिकन बिरयानी खाऊं कि मटन बिरयानी खाऊं, कि आज पनीर खाऊं कि आज हलवा खाऊं. Very indecisive. I am giving very mundane examples, but these are all truths of life. It has a huge likes and dislikes. Why should you have a dislike? Tell me. The world has everything to offer. Does your hand says, I don't like this phone. This phone is not good, I don't like it. Hand doesn't say. Does nose say that I don't like this phone? No. But you have a dislike for a particular phone and likes for Apple you love, or Samsung you love, and Oppo you don't like, or Redmi you don't like. Why? Who's deciding that likes and dislikes? And why? When everything belongs to the God, when everything is God, why do we like something, why we don't like something? Every phone is used by somebody. If the like was in the phone, then everybody would have liked it. Somebody likes it, somebody doesn't like it. So the likeness is not in the object. Likes and dislikes are in us. Same woman I love, somebody else hates. Same whiskey, Shahid loves and Ajay hates it. The smoke, I love smoking, you don't look at smoking. If the cigarette had a pleasure, then everybody would have enjoyed. If the pleasure was in the object, everybody would have liked it. That is known as character. The sugar's character is sweetness. There's nobody who says sugar is bitter. They may not like or dislike, but the character is fixed. Sugar will always be sweet. Whoever takes it, whichever form you take it, sugar will be sweet. But likes and dislikes are different. I may not like sugar. You may love it. Right? So the mind, the processor in you comes heavily laden with characters. Now, those characters which the processor has may serve you well, may not serve you well. Now, but that character, that processor exhibits your character to the world. The mind in you exhibits you to the world. Says Yatharth is short-tempered, कुछ बोलो इसके पहले बोलो कि काटने दौड़ता है. कुछ कहना ही मुश्किल है उसको. Whatever I tell him, he starts fighting here. Very difficult to be with Deepika. The moment you say something to her, she will come back and ask me why. Why did you say this to me? How do I talk to her here? Or, oh, Dhruv is very nice. Whenever I go to him, he always says, chai piyoge? I like him because he's very kind to me. It is not Dhruv, it's me. So the object cannot be right or wrong. It's me. It's my processor which decides about the object and decides whether object is good or bad. So my processor, that is mind. Now you need to understand how does your processor work and how do you control your processor. What are the controlling factors in a processor? Intellect. Unless the mind has a control of intellect which pushes it in the right direction, it doesn't stop it. Anything which is forceful is never strong. It never has a lasting impression. It can break, can't build. हठ योग से कर्म योग नहीं बनता है. Knowledge makes you strong. So, they say what is forced is not forceful. That's a correct expression. But the very fact that you have a mind which has its own, it is like a fire, it doesn't bother. If he wants sweets, he wants sweets morning, evening. If he wants mango 5 times a day. If it wants rest, it wants to sleep for 12 hours a day. That's a mind. Now, unless you have intellect, which is a reasonable, which is a judgment, decides for you, decisive hai, discriminatory hai, analytical hai. So the intellect is like an adult in you. Mind is like a child in you. Mind is seat of emotions. So if you want to express yourself appropriately, your mind has to be under control of intellect. Let's look at what is the most common happenings in our life. Two are most common. Either we are happy or we are stressed. Everything else is temporary. Happiness is the stress, or stress means being unhappy. What is stress? We are agitated. Stress is defined as agitation in your mind. When the mind is agitated, not smooth, you are stressed. Clear? Everybody agrees with me? So you need to, and let's analyze. What is stress? Stress, is there anything which I do wrong? Never. The world is wrong. Have you seen my wife? How bad she is. I mean, it's impossible to live with her. My wife is still okay, but have you seen my mother-in-law? The way she talks, the way I can't live with my mother-in-law. Impossible. I am one of the most unlucky guy. My father was a tyrant. He has beaten me all my life. That's why I am so what I am. Or everything is fine, but I can't work in summer. Summer is impossible. Oman is so hot, so hot. Wherever you go, it's a 50-degree. How do you live in a place which is so hot? Or, I want to shift to the valley. I want to go to the Allahabad, that Dehradun and Mussoorie is so cold. Man, you can't live there. I would have done very well if my father had sent me to a better school. So you have all the reason to blame the world. Who's blaming the world? You. And what in you is blaming the world? Your mind. Mind wants everything as per its expectations. But can world provide you everything you want? Can it give you a better father? Can it give you a different wife? You remarry 5 times. Every time wife will have a problem. Mother-in-law will have a problem. But the problem is, all the problems of external world, the real problem is internal, your agitation. There is a famous saying, it is difficult to find happiness within oneself. Very difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. There's no happiness in the people very unhappy, girlfriend ditched them, they go and buy a bottle of whiskey and start drinking. I'll drown my sorrow in the daru. What happens? Nothing happens. They fall. So it is very difficult to find happiness within oneself. Impossible outside the world. Reverse it. If you reverse it, that you have to find happiness within you. It is not an outside world. Now, within you, who is the person responsible for the happiness or unhappiness? Your mind. And mind expects everything from the world without giving anything in return. You want your wife to be nice, but are you nice to her? Are we able to accept as she is? If you start accepting things as they are and don't have your unexpected expectation from others, you will be happy. There will be no agitation in your mind. We know that if we have to manage ourselves, our intellect should be stronger than the mind. Correct? You agree with me, everybody? If your processor is under the control of the intellect, then there is no problem. Then there's no stress, no agitation. When there's no agitation, you can live a normal life. Sometimes you will get a little more salt in the dal. So put a little bit water and salt becomes less. You accommodate, you adjust. You don't start fighting. Stress is nothing but the agitation caused in the mind by your unfulfilled desires. That's a definition of agitation. Yatharth, you want to ask a question?
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask that uh, from what I have heard from you, so should we don't have any expectations from anyone, or yeah, this is what I wanted to ask. Like, if expectations are something that uh triggers the agitation, that so shouldn't we have any expectations from things and people around us?
Very good question. Expectation is natural. If I go and buy sweet and the sweet turns out to be sour or with the salt in it, that's a wrong expectation. That's a wrong assessment, right? We wanted a sweet should be sugar. So there has to be a right expectations. If you remember in the beginning of my class, I said that when we have no confusion with the animals, I don't go and pet a tiger, do I? When I see a tiger, from a distance I see him, I watch him happily roaming around. But when I see a cow, I go next to her and start petting her. There's no wrong expectation from animals. It's only human being. When it comes to human being, I expect them to be like me. Everybody should be my reflection. They should do as I expect. So we do not assess them. It's a wrong assessment of people. If you have a right assessment of people, my boss, the moment he comes, first half an hour, if you go close to him, he'll eat your head. Don't go for half an hour. Go after 1 hour. Enter and say, boss, I'm going to give you bad news. Are you in a bad mood? He said, yes, I'm in bad mood. Go out again. Come back again after 1 hour. If whenever your mood is right, let me know, I'll tell you. But we want entire world to be exactly as we are. Because we assess them wrongly, that's where the problem is. If I assess him correctly, then there's no problem. The expectations are in line with your expectations. But I assess them wrongly. Sometimes you pick up a biscuit thinking it is sweet, turns out to be a salty. Right? None of us eat sweet biscuits. We always ask for a salty biscuit. And sometimes it just both look alike. Our assessment went wrong. Our expectation was right in line with what I wanted, but I did not approach a right vendor. I did not approach a right person. Okay, so it is not always a failure of your expectations. It was a bigger failure of your assessment. बोया पेड़ बबूल का तो आम कहाँ से होए? That if you are putting, they say all the grumbling now. All the grumbling is about why lily is not an oak. It's all wrong expectations and assessments. So if your assessment is right, then you will have no agitation because you expect the same answer. You go to tiger, he will slap you. He'll bite you. But if you go to cow and cow hits you with a horn, then your assessment went, cow was a really naughty cow. Most of the cows are gentle. That is one of the exceptions. So now the problem with my processor, that was born with it. My Intel processor, whatever the latest Intel processor, I'm born with it. I can do nothing about it. Whereas intellect, I'm not born with. Intellect is something I have to develop. Every child is born with a muscle. There's no child who doesn't have a muscle. But if child muscle stays when he is an adult also, he'll be a very weak man. He has to develop it. Same thing, intellect, you're not born with. Intellect, you have to groom and develop. And most of us don't know. I'll give a small example. You have certain uncles or teacher. When you go to them with a question, they'll hear a question and they will say, yes, okay, good question. Let me think it through and come back with an answer. You know, every time I can go to him anytime. They are dependable people. You go to him and he'll always give you answer. You have certain teachers. You go to him. Sometime he's very polite and very nice. Good, bacha, come, sit down. Tell me what have you done? I have done this. Okay, very good. You do like this. Sometime you go next day. He says, why have you come to me? Idiot. I told you not to come to me in the morning. He swings both sides. There are certain teachers, you never close them. They're mad, certified mad. These three teachers, one who is stable, who listens to you, the one who's sometimes good, sometimes bad, the one who's hysterical, what is the difference in them? Difference is development of their intellect. The teacher who is stable, his intellect is highly developed. See, there is a reason why God has made us erect. Head should rule over the heart. The intellect should rule over the mind. There's a reason. Animals are all flat. Their heart and their brain is the same level. Ours is not like that. We have been given, head has been given a higher position, stronger position, protected with a hard bone. Why? So you need to have a developed intellect. The teacher who sometimes is nice, sometimes bad, he's using his intellect 50% time. And the teacher who is hysterical, he is only completely mental. He's mind driven. He is not intellect driven. Very common, very simple. So whenever you meet a guy or a girl, when you meet him or her, he looks at you, smiles, tell me what I can do for you. Okay, you have come to me. You know, son, this is the wrong time to come to me because I'm really busy. But never mind. You do one thing, you send me a mail. And whenever I'm free, I will get back to you. Highly developed intellect. Somebody you go to teacher, he says, Arey, you are like my son. Come and sit next to me. And any question you ask, anytime. You go next day morning to his house. He said, why do you come to my house? This is not the place to ask question. Should have met me in the office. He's using 50%. So the control, what is the problem with the mind and control? Uncontrolled, you become unsteady, fickle-minded. You're constantly worried and anxious. You're worried about the past. Oh, I appeared in an exam, but I don't think I wrote it well. Anxiety, what will happen? Will I fail? So you're constantly unsteady, fickle, worry and anxiety. You're turbulent, violent, restless, insatiable demands. I want this, I want that. These are uncontrolled mind. Controlled mind, focused, concentrated. What is concentration, by the way? That book which you all got, did you read it? What is concentration? Concentration is nothing but where intellect holds your mind single pointed on your work. When you're studying, if intellect is not operational, your mind will go for a round. You're listening to me, you are here, present in front of me, but I'm not too sure you are really, your mind is with me or not. Your mind must have gone out Ladakh for a round. Though you are here, you are listening, but still your mind is somewhere else. So, but where intellect says, no, the class is on. Dr. Roy will go in next 2 minutes. Focus. That's a concentration. That's the intellect controlling your mind. With intellect control, you are carefree, relaxed, calm, composed, peaceful, aspirational. I should do this, I should do that. I can achieve this. All comes from developing intellect. So I ought to leave, but just let me sum it up. The most of the time, that it is mind which is expressing you to the world. And mind, as a processor, is fairly naughty. It's unsure, indecisive, emotional, likes and dislikes. हम तो खाली आम खाएंगे, हम अमरूद नहीं खाएंगे, हमें केला अच्छा नहीं लगता है, खाने में आलू मत देना, I like something else, I like only chicken. If you give me vegetable, I get very upset. So all kinds of things, Now you need, for a better expression to the world, you need a controller, and that controller is an intellect. All right. I'll take questions for 1 or 2 minutes. I still have time. Then we'll continue with this for next couple of till we are very clear what we are doing with the mind. So any questions? I'm happy to answer.
Yes, Yatharth or Deepika, any questions? Abhinav has just joined, so probably he can't ask any questions, but he's welcome. Any questions, Yatharth, Deepika? I'll just ask one question. Is it possible that somebody can get so obsessed with intellect that may get disconnected with his emotions? Is that a possibility? Does that ever happen?
So it is very, very good question, Satyendra. That is what people fear. That, if I am highly controlled by my intellect, I'll become a dry person. I'll become completely detached from the emotions. Not true. Because that's a fear, but intellect also understands the value of emotions. Intellect is not one-way traffic. It's a two-way traffic. If I don't show a love to a child, how do I get love from the child? But how much love I should show, that intellect also knows. If child is saying that I want something and start crying and start howling and lies down on the floor, parents just walk out. Developed parents walk out. They say, okay, let him cry. So which many people think how heartless parents are. But it is not true. They are smart parents. I give example that the girl who wanted something at the airport and mother was feeling very shy and very sad. I told, don't bother, don't give her. Just simply stand there. Stand your ground. So it appears as if he's harsh. Discipline is an act of love. Remember, when your father slapped you, he loved you. That father never wanted bad of you. He wanted good of you. That's why he slapped you. So discipline is an act of love. How many people understand? We lived in an era where my teacher used to beat me with a ruler and used to call it Samjhavan Devta. Both Satyen and we have been beaten. Samjhavan Devta, he had a big shatak, he used to beat us. We understood everything. One beating, we understood everything. And I have a lot of love for him. I don't have anger for him. So a good, well-developed intellect understands both sides.
Thank you so much, Alok. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll continue next Wednesday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Don't,
Thank you.
Take care. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.